Oh, raccoon.
Oh, hey, buddy.
You know, this is actually funny.
Raccoon. Hey, bud. What's up? How are you? I don't have anything to give you. I just wanted to say hi. Okay, bye. It's good to see you.
Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Pussy Island, also known, more commonly known, I should say, as Blink Twice, which is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, who also wrote it. It's starring Channing Tatum. I already forgot the lady's name. Naomi Ackie. It's also got Christian Slater, Haley Joel Osment, which was good to see him. Haven't seen him forever. It's also got Gina Davis, who I haven't seen in forever. So it was some fun people I hadn't seen in a while. But if you don't know what the movie is, you're confused by the multiple titles, you're not sure you've seen a trailer or anything, so it's a thriller. It's following a lady, a girl, and her best friend, I guess, roommate, who go to a private island owned by Channing Tatum when thriller horror elements ensue. I knew very, very little about this movie going into it. You knew even less than I did, I believe. And it was exciting because it's rare that I get to go into a movie practically blind and zero expectations.
I will say, I had no expectations, mostly because I heard about this film about 2 days ago.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks, but who's counting?
Was it 2? Right, okay. I remembered the film 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yes, and refreshed myself. I watched the trailer. I will avoid trailers for movies I'm guaranteed to see.
If you already know you want to see,
because what's the point?
Yeah.
I didn't know about this movie, so I watched the trailer. I feel like the trailer gave a lot of the plot away.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Most people in the comments were saying that too. Now,
it's trailers nowadays.
Now, I did forget about that until it happened during the movie. And then when this incidents happened during the movie, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was in the trailer too. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was in the trailer. Oh wow, it really just gave away a lot of the plot. But there was still a much deeper mystery here, and I enjoyed the unveiling of this mystery. Honestly, probably my favorite movie mystery of this year so far, if I'm thinking back correctly. I may be missing something, but I haven't loved a lot of them because I don't think they've ended well. And I thought this one ended a lot better than others. Not 100%, but better than especially the ones we've seen recently.
It also ended a lot better than it started. I mean, when the movie started, we were, like, I went into this movie hoping it was going to be good, not expecting to laugh all the time at it.
Yeah.
And for the first 15 minutes or whatever, I was like, oh no, this is a so bad it's good movie. Like, what have we gotten ourselves into? And I just was like, all right, well, whatever. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of expectations, so I guess this is just going to be a fun review movie, you know? Yeah. And then, I mean, that was all pre-island. And by the time they got on the island, I even said to you, I was like, I just felt the shift in tone where I was like, this movie's about to get a lot better.
Yeah?
And it did. It really did. I still will say there was a lot of issues with it, especially with my main two issues was the cinematography was abysmal because there was so many instances where I was like, this was a really cool set design or a really cool area that they're filming, but you couldn't fucking see it because the cameraman just wanted to be 2 centimeters from your face at all times. And it was like, there was even like, this isn't really a spoiler, there's a lot of drug-induced trips in this movie, and when they first start getting on the drugs, they're like, oh look, the camera's in her face, that's how you know she's tripping. Like, it already was, you know, like there's no difference.
Hey, you had to go from putting the camera in your face to build tension to putting the camera in your face to simulate a trip.
Yeah, except for it wasn't even about building tension half the time when the camera was just always in the face. It could be like, oh, we're talking about how work sucks. Camera in your face. Oh, we're talking about this. We're talking it, and that was the problem, was the camera work didn't add anything to the story. It didn't help evoke any feelings because it was just the same thing the whole time. Like, the set designs were so cool. There was so much, like, they do a lot of contrast with bright white and red, deep red, and it's throughout the whole beginning of the movie and then throughout the rest of the movie too in part. And it's like, these are such interesting, unique design sets. I would love to see more of it, and it's like, too bad you can only see this much on either side of my head.
Hey, You get a couple of establishing shots in the beginning, and now you know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
That was it.
Yeah.
It's white and red. They're on an island.
What else do you need? Get over it. You need to see every pore on their forehead. But I did notice that probably about the 3/4 point of the movie, I went, oh, I'm not noticing the camera at work anymore. And I think that's a testament, not to the camera work getting better, I don't think. I think it was just, the story was interesting enough that I forgot to notice the camera work. So I'll compliment the storytelling for that. And in general, the writing was very interesting, I will say. The dialogue was god-awful.
Yeah, no, some of those moments of dialogue were pretty bad.
And so it's like, it's especially apparent in the first 15 minutes because all you have is dialogue.
Yeah.
And so once the plot gets going, then you can kind of ignore the dialogue a little bit, but it is throughout. The movie, as it gets better, the dialogue is always weak. It never fixes itself because this movie, I said it to you, this movie is Barbie if Barbie was a thriller. The commentary, the storyline is very similar. That's as much as I'm going to say until we get to spoilers, but it's got all the subtlety of you being hit repeatedly over the head with a hammer. You know, it's like even to the point of saying like political or social catchphrases that we're used to hearing, using those phrases in conversation. And it's like, this isn't commentary anymore. You're just like referencing things. And it's like, that's frustrating because it's like, I liked Barbie a lot. My least favorite part in Barbie was at one point a character gets up and gives a monologue for 3 minutes. And it's like, that could have been a little more subtle, you know? But the rest of the movie is done well through comedy, through drama, through great acting performances. And similar, this movie has great acting performances. I thought the whole cast was very good. I thought the story was very interesting. The plot, the mystery of it was very interesting. But when you leaned into the preaching and the lesser parts, I will say, of the plot, it just was so frustrating with how stupid and just hitting you over the head the commentary became in those moments. I don't mean the commentary was wrong. I mean the way it was delivered was stupid. I should correct myself because, I hate women. I hate women. I just think that the delivery of the message was stupid at times. But overall, you're right. I did enjoy this movie enough that, like, I couldn't believe with all the flaws that I kept pointing out to myself, I was enjoying myself after the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was pretty thoroughly entertained from near start to finish. And honestly, that's kind of a rarity for these movies these days.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Hasn't been a great year. I think on many other years, this wouldn't even be in the conversation for me personally in like a top 10 movie of the year thing. But because the year's been a little bit flat and I had a lot of fun, for me, I'm like, it's in the conversation for sure. It is. Not saying it's going to stay in the conversation. We've got a ways to go, but it's better than Long Legs. Yeah. It's better than Cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
It was fun to see, you know, these actors I haven't seen in a while, like Haley Joel Osment. The second I saw him, I was like, is that him? Oh my God, it's him. And then Gina Davis shows up and you're like, oh my God, it's her. I haven't seen her in forever. And then, you know, you saw Christian Slater, and not that he hasn't been around, but it's like, it was a lot of, it's just a good cast that felt natural. They worked together. Like, one of the painful monologues in this movie was delivered by Channing Tatum. I did mention to you that he did go a little bit Nicolas Cage in his delivery there. Yeah,
that was, I turned to you, I said that went on like about, like 22 long there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, surrounding that moment, and even within that moment, his acting was what saved that scene, because the dialogue was atrocious there, like absolutely terrible. Like, having him say what he said, how he had to say it, how many times he had to say it, there was no way an actor could say that and make it good. No, but he tried his darndest and did a damn good job. At the very beginning, when it was more subdued, I was very into it. I was very interested. Then they let him go crazy with it. All right, that was a choice. I don't think it was the correct one, but the subdued part, oh my gosh, I was very into it. Yeah, and I mean, I've been a fan of Channing Tatum for a while, but this is, I think this may be his best performance I've seen. It maybe not, but it's up there. It's one of his best performances outside of like a straight comedy.
The performances were solid. I was very interested in the unraveling of the mystery.
Also, it kind of kept going. It wasn't just like most of these times in these mysteries, you just get one big twist reveal where it's just like everything you know, here it is, and it's like, all right, we're gonna have 5 of those moments.
Yeah,
it just kept going, and sometimes you saw it coming, sometimes you didn't, and so it's like it wasn't just either you were fooled or you weren't. There was multiple things. You may have caught some of it, you may not have caught all of it. There's a good amount of the movie that like it's a very obvious mystery, but the little sprinkled moments throughout are so intriguing that it did have me going, oh well, okay, what does that mean? Like, and I'm not gonna give you spoilers here, I'm just gonna give you the oh what does that mean moments. Like early on, it's like they're at dinner and she spills wine or gets steak blood, something red. I wasn't sure exactly what. She gets on her white dress.
Yeah, because it was after like she had the steak, so I think it was supposed to be from the steak.
Yeah,
but
either that or the one. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but then you know they go around partying and having a good time, and then they go to bed, and she goes, "Huh, the stain's gone." Oh, okay, well, I'm falling asleep now because I'm drunk and on drugs. And I don't have time to think about this. And that was such a fun, like, oh, well, okay, I know the vague outline of where this story is going based on the trailer. And also just, well, duh.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? And there was a lot of fun, well, what does that mean moments throughout this movie. So, really, it was a good idea. I think poorly written. It should have had. I really wish a more talented writer was involved in the writing process. But it really was a fun story, fun idea. So something that bugged me at first, also in the first 15 minutes, was the 2 main characters were trying to be funny and were painfully unfunny. Like painfully unfunny. And they're like, see, aren't we relatable? Like we trip when we walk. We don't know how to wear heels. Oh, here's this trick. You go east, west, oh, south, south, south. And it's like, that really bugged me at first. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, but they were real characters. The writer didn't shy back of making real characters, because so often in movies, you don't have personalities in the main character, so you can just put yourself into that role. Yeah. And I could not put myself into this role at all, because I'm like, I don't like this person, I wouldn't be friends with them. But they felt like real people. So I'm like, I can't be annoyed by it, even though it was painfully unfunny and they were unlikable people, because they felt like real people. They were well-written characters, honestly.
It definitely felt like a couple of close friends having some corny inside joke that they just do.
Corny inside jokes that are very unfunny.
East, west, south,
it's like,
south,
I want to know, like, because, like, so they do that because it's like, oh, this is the trick my grandma taught me to walk in heels. You go east, west, east. So it's like, what? How does that help you walk in heels? Yeah, you're just walking 1 foot at a time. What were you doing before? Like, what? How does this help you? And it's just, it felt like a forced moment, but a lot of humor between friends is forced. So.
And then they're having trouble walking forward in heels, but south was very easy.
Yeah, that's easy to do. And I think we're ready to talk about spoilers.
All right.
So we're going to do that. If you don't want anything spoiled, you should click away now, go watch it, come back, and we can talk about it then. But also don't forget to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye. So, spoilers. So that moment that I was just talking about is because the whole timeline is messed up, because they're being fed this, well, not fed, they're being given perfume. I would also assume that there's probably something else to it too. I the whole time I was thinking it was something with the champagne or the raspberries.
I thought it was the yeah, I know, I thought it was too, but it seems to only just be the perfume,
which doesn't make sense, but okay.
I guess they do that to throw us off of what could it be. Clearly something's affecting them. They're clearly getting drugged in some fashion other than the drugs they're just taking themselves.
Actual drugging and the anti-drugging, I can just say up front, doesn't make sense because it's stupid. Perfume making you forget everything and then snake venom making you remember stuff is absolutely stupid. But it's like, it's one of those things where they barely talk about it because they're trying, like, don't think about it, just enjoy the story.
It's just like, oh, okay. So magic chloroform spray and Snake venom. All
and
right.
snake venom that you can drink and it also has the same effect on you. Yeah, okay. Don't worry about it. It's dumb. And that's why I was like, once again, this is almost in like guilty pleasure territory for me, where it's like you do have to turn off your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But there was so going back to the stain thing though, so basically what it is the timeline's out of whack because there's a million different memories that she's not remembering, and so what she is remembering is all being kind of blended together in just a mess. They have no idea what day it is. They have no idea what's going on. So that she thinks that she had just spilled something on herself, but this is a completely different night, a completely different dress. That's why there's no stain. And there's things throughout it that like it seems so weird and so random that you're like, this couldn't possibly make sense at a later point. And then it does. Like her being referred to as Red Rabbit. I'm like, what the fuck could that possibly mean? And then it ends up being like, oh, well, it's because she was here before. And by the way, when they reveal, oh, she was here before, I went, how the fuck could that have happened? And then like, oh, this is how. I'm like, all right, fine, I accept that. And that kept happening. And I really did enjoy that. But so like, okay, I should finish my point. She was Red Rabbit because it was on her nails. She paints little animals on her nails. But the animals on her nails right now are lizards, which it was a callback to the first scene, which is been brought back at the end of the movie where she was trying to escape. She falls, hits her head, and the thing right in front of her is this green lizard. So then she draws those on her fingers that then stay there for a year, or she's just redrawing them every year. I don't know, because like
I guess
this is a year later. But anyway, don't think about it, Justin.
Subconscious stuff.
So anyway, she was known to the workers there already as somebody they'd met before who had red rabbits on her nails. Now that makes no sense to me because like I don't have anything to do with Red Rabbit. Why are they calling me that? But so, yeah, I will say that I love those little breadcrumbs throughout. It was very enjoyable. Not all of it made entire sense, you know? Like I said, the Venom thing doesn't make any sense.
It just works.
It just works. And then also, when she first finds the room with like all of the bags, it was so out of nowhere that she found it. Like there wasn't anything leading up to that. I know I say this a lot in movies. I said this about Cuckoo. The entirety of Cuckoo just feels like events just happening with no real correlation or story connecting them. And that was one moment in this that felt like that, because all that happened was she woke up, she walked outside, went, huh, there's a door, and went through the door, and here's some baskets, some bags. And I was like, the rest of this movie doesn't feel like that, so that felt so out of place. It's like, that just happened because it needed to happen. We don't know how to make it happen, so it happened. There you go.
I'm trying to remember if there's like something that was like, oh, there's a noise over there. Oh, there's a door over there. What?
I don't think so. She just went walking. Oh, okay. Sure, why not, I guess. But yeah, let's get into the commentary, because so, like I said, there's a lot of Barbie comparisons here. Obviously, it's a pro-feminist message. It's men in power abusing women because they can, and then women just dealing with it because they feel like they have to, which is a lot of what Barbie gets into. Barbie even has a brainwashing or forgetting concept in it, so they kind of lifted that as well, where one woman remembers and so then has to go one by one reminding all of the other women. I'm like, I've seen this before. This is Barbie. but I didn't mind that because it was fine. My problem was like the conversation where they're like, oh, we should call the police. Oh, but they would never believe us. Why can't they believe women? Just believe women. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That was so silly.
You just played out the inside, and then they're gonna say what they do to you. We don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, these people that they probably play golf with.
Yeah. And then that was also a moment of just really bad comedy too, where it's just like, it kind of just felt like old jokes that you've already heard a million times, or something from like Disney Channel, where she's like, we have to call the cops, we have to call the FBI, we have to call the cops and the FBI. It's like, that's not funny. What's the joke there? That you're repeating yourself?
You're right. It should have included the National Guard. It would have made the joke.
It's just like, it's the equivalent of going like, I'm at the Taco Bell, I'm at the Pizza Hut, I'm at the combination Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. Like, that's not a joke. You're just saying things. And I don't know. Like, it feels like a Disney Channel joke where if you say something in a funny cadence, obviously it's a joke. You don't need an actual punchline. But, for the most part, the comedy did work. There was a couple of really roll your eyes at moments. But for the most part, it worked. I think my favorite commentary moment, actually, though, was the Gina Davis character. Because, she's going around, like I said, a la Barbie, unbrainwashing these other women so that they can join the cause. And so she includes Gina Davis's character into this, who was already on the island when they got there. She didn't know her anything. Not that she knew the other women other than her one friend, Jess, who died. But so she gives her the venom to unbrainwash her, help her remember, assuming that she'll want it. And then once she does, she attacks her. She's mad for remembering. And her whole, like, attitude toward it is like a very old-fashioned attitude you hear from a lot of women about a patriarchal society, which is like, this is just how it is. You can't do anything about it. So just buck up and deal with it. Like, her actual words, I think, were something along the lines of like, you can't do anything about it, so just forget about it.
Yeah, forgetting is a gift.
And forgetting is a gift. And I was like, I really enjoyed that because it was just like, it was a unique take on it where it's like, yeah, and you had the one guy character too that was like not really with it either. And so it was nice to have a couple of outliers. It's like one person you assume is good and then they're not, and one person that isn't truly bad, but he's also compliant because he doesn't help either, which is bad in its own way. So I think that added a nice area of depth where it's like you've got some guy who's useless and you've got a woman who is also going along with it. And when she gets stabbed, then she says like, help me. And she's like, I tried.
Bitch, I tried.
Okay, I was trying to make the line sound better than it was. It did corny up the line. It did cheese up the line. But the concept and the commentary was good at its heart. There's a couple of times where this movie got really silly when I'm like, there was a good idea there. It's just hidden. It's layered.
Bitch, she tried. What was Gina Davis's relationship to Channing Tatum's character in this? Was it just caretaker, or was she supposed to be related? Because at one point
he said sister, and
yes,
so I thought he was talking about her.
That's what I thought too.
But I don't know if that. I don't know that it was a sister, and I don't think it was.
Yeah, they seem like there's some age difference there.
Yeah,
and she seemed more like a motherly caretaker figure. Like she's like the secretary, nanny maid of the island or whatever.
So my guess, because one of the things that they show when she's looking at the pictures is pictures of some old guys we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And then we also see Channing Tatum holding a bag, implying that he was a guest at one point. It wasn't his island to begin with. He became part of the process. He wasn't the originator of the process. So what implies to me, therefore, is that Gina Davis was one of the young, attractive ladies that they invited at one point, and she's just hung around and been involved all this time. It's kind of, obviously, it's an allegory for Hollywood and just the world in general, but so it's like she was one of the young, attractive things at one point.
Right.
She's aged out of that, so now she's just become a cog in the system because that's her only way she feels that she can remain valuable and important. And so I think that she's just a girl. She was just one of the girls, and then she's now become this.
No, that's what I figured she was when they started to reveal that, and then he said sister, and that kind of just threw me off.
Yeah, but then I thought so too.
Because I don't remember them like talking about the sister. I started to think, oh, maybe he's gonna like mention like, because I started thinking maybe he invented the drug or something, and maybe he had some reason to invent the drug, and maybe this isn't just depravity, it's maybe this is also testing or something. And no, it's just doesn't seem like it, any of that.
I think the point was that he wasn't, sure, he was the bad guy, but it wasn't like he was, you know, the boss, the lead villain. Like,
he just is now.
He is right now, but I mean, there's it even kind of implied that the therapist was behind it a little bit, and I don't know if that's true or not. But it's like, because then the main character uses Channing Tatum to get to the therapist at the end.
Yeah, it was interesting because like at first it very much seemed like the therapist was somewhat more in charge of Channing Tatum, or had a much deeper role. And then I think Channing was explaining like the effects of the drug to him or something like that. It's telling him like it was, they won't. He was saying like, so they won't remember a thing, and he's like, yeah, it's.
Was that the therapist he was explaining that to? I thought it was to one of the other guys.
I thought it was a therapist.
It may have been. I'd have to watch it again. Regardless, I don't think either of them are the main bad guy. I don't think there was supposed to be like a singular main bad guy.
Yeah.
I think the point was like, this is just widespread, and there's these guys doing this. Because then you see probably the most interesting twist to this movie that I didn't see coming at all is instead of just killing him and moving on, you could take it a couple different ways, because you could say, oh, see, she is using this to get back at the bad guys, and she's taking control and doing her own revenge, like a more complex revenge than just simply killing.
Yeah.
She's taking over. And it's like, you could see that as like, she's kind of like a good guy here. You could also take it as she's becoming a different kind of villain here, where she's like, I'm going to manipulate the system in my favor now, and kind of puppeteer things from behind the scenes. So I don't entirely know what they were trying to say with it, but it's interesting either way.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure either, but I very much took it as the latter, where she caught the opportunity to now take control of his life and
Jada
run
Pinkett
him.
Smith the situation, as I was putting it.
And now she was in charge, and I loved all of that ending up until like the very last thing they said, where she was the CEO. I'm pretty sure they said.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I just caught that she was now Mrs. Slater.
Yeah, no, I heard that too. But I thought I heard them say that she was the CEO now. And I'm like, okay, that's a little out there. Because we have no idea what she was or did before, outside of being, I think, a waiter who then like crashed the party.
We also don't know how long it's been.
It doesn't feel like it's been long, though.
It's implied that some amount of time has passed.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like some, but like...
I haven't been in touch with you. You're a hard man to get in touch with.
Yeah. No, it definitely feels like some amount of time has passed. But like, I thought she was going to be like the new quote-unquote like Gina Davis character, but controlling him.
Yeah,
like publicly, that's her. She seems like the secretary, but privately, she's in charge.
That is how I took it. I didn't catch any CEO thing. So once again,
I thought that's what it said at the very end. Yeah, I know. I want to rewatch it too.
Because that definitely changes how I interpret the ending. I mean, it doesn't really change a whole lot, but it changes how much I would like it. Because I would prefer if she was the puppeteer, behind the scenes.
I think she's the puppeteer either way.
Yeah.
But I would prefer she's not the CEO, because that just seems... Oh, yeah.
It's the difference between a marionette puppeteer and, like, a Muppet puppeteer, where it's like, hey, how are you? Like, I see you. I see you're controlling the puppet. But if it's a marionette, you don't see them. You see strings, but you don't know where they're going.
I wonder if someone already put up a synopsis, because sometimes... People put up a really detailed shit.
This early is rare, though.
Yeah, Frida's now the CEO of the company.
Yeah, I don't like that as much, though.
I don't. That's the only detail, because like I don't think it makes sense. Like, of course, she could take control of the company. She could have him name her CEO. I just don't think that makes sense in the business world at all. I think it works a whole lot better. Her playing the pretend secretary-ish role. Yeah. But secretly, she's still running everything, because she's clearly in charge of him.
To me, it's not even about it not making sense in the business world. I'm just talking about it from a commentary standpoint. Where it's like, from a commentary standpoint, her goal in this, it was saying, is like, she now is like, women rule the world, but not in front of the world, like they rule the world from behind the scenes, because every powerful man has a woman standing behind her, is the saying, or whatever that is. And so it's like she is the one controlling stuff, but letting him be the face of it.
I just figured he'd have to be the face of the company still, as he's been the face of the company.
Yeah, but I don't practically. Yes, I agree with you. The practicality is not what's bugging me.
I just couldn't get over that one last part, because like I really liked the ending, and then they said she was CEO, and I was like, oh,
why? I don't like that as much. But it was still also a very shocking ending to me, because like you're just expecting her to be the good guy, and then she kind of flips it where it's not like she's necessarily the bad guy. You don't see what she's doing with this power, but it's like
it's hard to feel bad for Channing Tatum no matter what she's doing.
I don't feel bad at all, but it's like, you know, so one thing I loved about Barbie, for example, was so in Barbie, the women are in charge of Barbie Land, Barbie World, whatever it is, Barbieville. They're in charge of it. And then when Barbie leaves with Ken, they go to the real world. Ken sees the real world is run by men, goes, ooh, I like this. So he goes back to Barbie world, switches it, so now the men are in charge. And then Barbie comes back and like, the world's ruined, men are in control, this is terrible. We should go back to the women being in charge because it was perfect then. And then they're like, no, it wasn't perfect before. We need a new system entirely where men and women can work together. And this kind of felt like a slightly dumber version of that commentary where it's like, see, it's evil when the men are in charge. And then it's like, oh, but now she's in charge. It's like, that's not a good ending because that's still a power imbalance. We should be preaching the more of the Barbie message where it's like we need something in between. So I kind of like, that's where I was like, wait, is she a bad guy? Like, obviously I don't feel bad for Channing Tatum at all. Or the other guys. But it's like, either she is a villain now or she's going to become one because with absolute power comes absolute corruption. So something's going to go on there.
I know that she saw the therapist again. But the therapist is in the scene. He was visiting him every week. It seemed like they were going to meet again in the future, logically, some points. So it didn't seem like she was targeting anybody. It was an event for her, not for the therapist or anything, right? The therapist probably should have known that it was an event for her.
I just figured she was going to these events and letting the people reveal themselves by coming to Channing Tatum. That's why she was putting him in the spotlight so that people would come.
And that would be interesting, but I just don't feel like it set that up much at all, outside of seeing the therapist.
Kept it very vague.
I didn't really get that she was out for revenge outside of
him.
Channing. Yeah, outside of him. Because everyone else is basically dead, and I'm assuming Christian Slater burned up in the fire.
Well, I think the only other person she would have been going after was a therapist, because it was possibly implied that he was behind it, but like
he seemed very much involved.
Yeah, he was involved in some way.
And at first, yes, he definitely seemed like he might be providing the drugs to them.
Right, because like I said, Channing Tatum, he wasn't the originator of this thing. Like there was something else going on, unless his picture with the gift bag meant something completely else that went right over my head.
Yeah, unless that was just Christian Slater just taking a bunch of pictures like usual.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems like the guys have the option to remember or forget.
I think all of the guys were in on it except for the one guy who I didn't understand if he was supposed to be gay or if there was something else going on there, because he was putting on the perfume. And so I was like, was he... They didn't really get into that, but he was not one of like the inner circle.
No, he didn't seem like in the inner circle. He seemed like, to me, it seemed like he was a guest of the island, different from the girls who were there for the entertainments.
Yeah,
he was there to participate, but didn't want to live with the guilt of what he's doing, so he's allowed to forget as well and have fun while there or whatever.
I have a theory. I think he's a newcomer. I think every time they add in a new guy, they probably do have to brainwash him at first just to see how he takes everything. Because if like, and that would also lead into the Hollywood commentary as well. It's like, you know, he's a newcomer to Hollywood and he doesn't yet realize how corrupt the system is yet, and it's corrupt in his favor, but regardless, he's not really attaching himself to the system yet because he doesn't realize what's happening yet. And so as he becomes more aware of it, he then can, you know, choose to be involved in it or not. And from what I could tell, yeah, he just wasn't really aware, and some of that was willfully ignorant, it seemed, and some of that was just actually ignorant. But that could also be a commentary in of itself. It's like he's choosing to be willfully ignorant of the system that is around him.
It definitely felt like, if we're using all this commentary and we're talking about Channing Tatum's this conversation with him, saying like, well, why you didn't do anything to help them? You didn't do anything
to help yourself.
To help yourself. You just did nothing. Why did you do nothing?
That's even
You gotta
worse.
ask yourself that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Why did you do nothing?
Yeah. It was, once again, it was a really cool point. Delivered so heavy-handed. I was just like, okay, I see what you're saying, and I like it, but you could have done that in a better way than just shouting it at the guy. Just like, hey, you know, commentary.
And honestly, I didn't mind it then. I thought it was much better than the two girls' conversation earlier.
Yeah.
And then his screaming after that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Because it was so interesting. It was like,
it was a really nuanced, amazing acting performance up until he started screaming.
yeah, because he's like, well, what do you want from me to say? I'm sorry. And he's just like, he's like, oh yeah, I faked the apology that I gave.
Apologies aren't real.
Yeah.
Or like, forgiveness isn't real. I'll prove it to you. And then he just does like the whole apology spiel.
Yeah.
And then ends with, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. And he's just like doing like, just basically an acting exercise of how many different ways can you say this phrase.
Is it sociopaths that don't have like don't feel remorse and don't have like emotions or something like that? Yeah. He felt very sociopathic. Like he doesn't understand the concept of sorry, and he has to practice it to feel to come across as actually sincere and human.
Yeah.
And then he started screaming.
Yeah. Yeah, and it went full Nicolas Cage, and he ruined the moment. And I don't blame him. Like I said, I blame the writing for that.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the directing, because the director is the one, either it was written in the script, scream your fucking head off, or the director said,
I like it. Keep it.
Scream your fucking head off. Or, yeah, a third option is he screamed his head off, and the director went, yes. And it's just like, in every case, the director should have been like, time out.
Keep it subtle.
Not doing that. Thank you, though. You know, or it's like, oftentimes in acting, when or in directing, either way, you want to look at it, it's like, when we're not sure what we're going to go for, we're going to try every option from the most subtle to the least subtle. And as we do this range, then when we go back, we can be like, there it is. There it was at 75%. That's what we were going for.
Yeah.
So it's like Channing Tatum gave that range, and they just went, use it all. And it's like, no, don't do that. Cut it off somewhere.
He's crazy. He screamed.
And yeah, it was a frustrating scene because it started out so amazing, and then you're like, why is he doing that? Why did he do that? But overall, yeah, I really did enjoy the acting. I thought it was just really good, subtle performance. And other than that, from really the whole cast, like even like, I know I keep mentioning them and they were barely in it, but like throughout the whole movie, I was just every time, and it partially is just the fact that it's like, oh, I know that person with Gina Davis and Haley Joel Osment, but it's like every time they were on screen, I was paying attention to them and them only, you know? And part of that was me and my bias, but part of that was just everybody had really genuinely layered, nuanced performances that I was just so happy to see, because normally there's somebody fucking up. And okay, hold on. Who was the girl? The stoner girl was also amazing. Just her stupid little voice she was doing, and her delivery. True Mullen, who I've never seen in anything before. She was fucking awesome. They were all awesome, but like I was just noticing like her performance was fun. You know, it was just fun. And speaking of her, another fun thing that they didn't, because they didn't explain everything that happened because they didn't have to, but like when they're noticing that there's gaps there, she's like, when did I cut my hair or whatever? And she's just like, her bangs were cut off, and I was like, I was expecting that to come back. It was like her whole hairstyle changed some. Yeah. And then it didn't come back. I'm like, that's cool. Like, we didn't need to see everything. We didn't need to know about everything.
I mean, they would have. We have no idea how long they were there, how many days they would have had to show us to do. Because there's random bruises, there's cuts. When you were talking about earlier the dress, in the moment when that first happened, did you catch the feeling that it was multiple days had progressed?
No.
Because when I first saw it, I just thought she had lost a few hours. She had been blacked out, forgotten a few hours of the night, had been changed by Channing Tatum, presumably.
When it happened, I had literally no idea what was going on, because I was so set on just like they're being, you know, manipulated by these people. I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know if it was going to become demonic. I didn't know if it was just going to be brainwashing, hypnosis. I didn't know. I had no idea.
And when I saw it, I figured drugged, and it was like, oh, maybe she's been like unconscious for a couple hours and she got changed, or they changed her, put her in a new dress.
To be
like,
fair,
interesting.
I probably could have or should have thought that.
Because I didn't catch like it could be multiple days. I just felt like, ooh, maybe a couple of hours here. Because you didn't know what it was at the time. I can't remember if that was before or after the champagne. Because I know when she was choking on the champagne, I know that was partly kind of whatever. I definitely thought the champagne might start being the cause of.
I thought the whole time. I thought the champagne was involved here.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know why or what, but I was like, they keep focusing on the champagne and they never came back. I guess that was a red herring, but it was interesting. I love the subtlety of there was always somebody in the background watching them. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. Like, there was a conversation where she and Channing Tatum are walking and talking, and you see, like, the caretaker is dealing with a snake, and then you're like, okay, and then we kind of move away from that, and you keep seeing people in the background, and you're like, is that the caretakers? But you know it's not, because it's like a white guy with a white shirt and blue pants or something like that.
Yeah.
Which ends up being the security guard that you see later. But it's like, and knowing what you know by the end of the movie, it's like, oh, because he's waiting to see if at any moment she's going to snap and he's going to have to shoot her or something. But like that whole time you're just like, what's going on? Why is there somebody just watching them this whole time? And it was so fun. Like, obviously, you know, even if I hadn't seen the trailer, you just know from the jump. It's like, all right, there's evil guys on an island. Duh. But like, it kept it fun and it kept it fresh. And it's like, that's such a fun... That's the mark of a good movie, is when you can do something that's been done before, but keep it fresh, keep it fun. And this movie, for all its flaws, was remarkably fun and entertaining. Like, even when I would roll my eyes at how dumb a line of dialogue was, or how dumb a little thing like the snake venom was, but it was so quick and snappy that you were on to the next thing without having to worry about it. Like when they were like, oh, and it's a snake venom, and you drink it and you remember stuff. I was like, what? And they're like, anyway, and you're like, all right, anyway, you know, like, where are we going now? Like, and so I was just able to willfully let myself forget the silly stuff and just enjoy the good stuff.
See,
commentary there, I'm sure, but we'll ignore it.
And I definitely agree. It definitely kept us entertained. Definitely kept us pushing past the couple of pain points. One slight pain point with the the MVP character of the movie, the caretaker woman. He just has like the snake's venom counteracts the perfume. So he's trying to kill all the snakes on the island, but they're infesting the island. So he has a caretaker who goes around and just kills the snakes. That's her entire job, basically. Yeah. It's just constantly have a bloody bag that she's just hacking snakes' heads off with and then just putting them in there. But then she's extracting the venom in secret after taking them back and drinking it herself. But it's unknown if she's like an old victim, because I'm pretty positive she's not a current victim outside of being a person working on the island, and who knows what's going on with all of them besides the security guy. But yeah, she's just making it, drinking it in private. But not outright helping anybody. No. Like, she didn't come to her and say, here, like, you have to drink this. No. It was just like, oh my god, there you are. Because you want some? I would have never... It's from the snake. I would not have guessed that the snake poison counteracts the brainwashing or whatever. Well, why not? Because when she walked in there, I swear, I thought she was just making some crazy alcohol from the snake venom. Yeah. It's like, oh, the snake venom adds that bite to that alcohol. Mix it with tequila, taking shots. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, oh, no, just hit this moonshine here. Yeah. But no. It looked like Mountain Dew. Because like she was handing it to her like, oh, no, I've got some really strong stuff. Yeah, literally, it's just like, it was a jump scare moment of like, oh shit, who's there? And oh, hey. You want some? Yeah. I got it from the snake. Shit, I'm over here getting lit. You want a little? Yeah, I thought she was hiding drinks. Yeah. Like she was like, shh,
I'm on the clock. Like, that was the vibe it gave, which obviously was supposed to, because she was like, oh, you're
right,
okay.
Right, and
but
it makes sense how she would actually.
If you remember everything and you know everything that's going on, once again, I guess it's just like the willfully compliant or whatever. She's not helping anybody. Like, why? I guess just for the paycheck. I guess that's probably commentary in of itself.
And we didn't even know that the workers were getting drugged. We never saw her spray perfume on herself or anything.
I don't know that they were.
She's just
drugged.
in the back, but she's just drinking it.
Was she drinking, or was she just holding it?
I was pretty sure she was drinking it too.
It's implied that she was drinking it, but all she did was hold it up.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Why is she collecting it though?
Just to cause trouble? I don't know.
The character doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, other than I think from an allegorical perspective of like, I'm seeing everything that's happening and I'm just going along with it because it doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
So, who cares? And then also from a plot perspective of somebody had to do it. So, oh well.
Because like if they had just had the friend start to remember.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe say something.
Leave a note.
Do something before she's killed off so that the one girl can go out and get herself bit by a snake.
Because all she did for her was leave her the knife. And like that didn't lead to anything. So she didn't help a whole lot. She could have left a note or something.
Yeah.
She was just like, I'm going to hide the knife behind your mirror. You'll definitely find it, because that's where you hid your money before, which I guess I knew somehow, even though I asked you, where's the money? Don't worry about it. This was all, she forgot this conversation, but that was a deleted scene where she's like, oh shit, I'm talking too much. All right, I'm dying.
It was like, oh yeah, they just had that instead of the drink version where she sees the effect of the snake venom and then just goes gets herself bit, because they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, where it's like the idea of the story was amazing. The execution was silly to dumb, but it was fun. So it's like, I kind of wish, because I think a good writer could have made this a really thrilling thriller or horror. It could have been fascinating, could have been twisty and turny, exciting, even gross out horror moments with the deaths and stuff. Could have been really grounded and awesome, but the writers we did get weren't those writers. Those writers came up with the idea though, so they could do it however they want, and they wanted to make it funny and silly and fun. And it's that's a choice. I don't know if I would have made that choice, but for what it is, I do genuinely enjoy it. So yeah, you kind of just have to go along with the weird things that don't make a whole lot of sense. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily plot holes, but they're just kind of silly and strange. Because it's not a plot hole that snake venom cures this brainwashing disease thing, but why would it? But they don't explain it, so it can't be a plot hole.
Yeah, it just does.
So you go along with it and enjoy it for what it is. This isn't, it's not a Nolan script of mind-bending mindfuckery. It's not. It could have been. It's not though. And so you enjoy it for the bodies of it all, or whatever you want to compare it to. And yeah, I mean, the commentary is also legitimately good. It could have been great, but it was still good. So I did enjoy it. I think would I give this a 7?
I would.
I think I give this a 7.
I give it a 7, 7.5. I think people will even. I enjoyed the unveiling of the mystery for all the corny moments.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, let's call it the revenge moments.
Sure.
For the last third, let's say, of the movie, quarter of the movie. The ending, I thought, was mostly really good too. Yeah. That one line throws me off still, but it's not enough to really kill it. Yeah.
That's how I feel about all the flaws with the movie. It's that's weird, but okay, And I'm generally not so forgiving, but I had fun. And I think part of that was it being a fun story, but part of it was also genuinely not predicting where the movie was going entirely. Obviously, like I said, there's the obvious.
Yeah, the
bad
trailer
guys
tells you what's going to
doing
happen.
Bad stuff. Even if I hadn't seen the trailer, though, bad guys doing bad stuff.
Yeah, no, you would have got it.
It's obvious, but the subtlety of it and the cool stuff of it, it's that's so rare that happens, and it's well done. I mean, there have been moments that I didn't predict. For example, when we were talking about Long Legs, I'm just like, yeah, I didn't know that there was going to be dolls with demonic light bulbs inside of them.
Yeah, a little hard to
but
predict that.
That didn't entertain me because it was like stupid and weird and random. This was like, once it explained it, I was like, oh, that is interesting. And I didn't see that coming, so I'm impressed now and I enjoy that. So because of the good moments and the highs of this movie, I'm able to forgive so much of the silly and stupid moments of it. So
Yeah.
I think a 7's probably fair. Might be a little bit more than I would be willing to give it on a different day, but I also think that this movie could get even better on a rewatch.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this one's gonna hold up for the level that it's at now.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. And Zoe Kravitz, get a writer, get a different goddamn cinematographer, and you'll do great. All right, that's what we had to think. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.